All of a sudden, his boat is going like this, and then it goes, and it stops. He hits the sandbar or whatever, because the water was probably 2 feet deep, and boom, he goes, I'm not kidding you, he flies through the glass on his boat. You know, he had the windshield up, through the glass, boom, tumbles over and into the water. I said, oh my God, he's dead. Let me sum it up, day in the life, my life as a mobster back then. As a recruit, I was indicted 4 times, and I was on trial for almost 13 months. 13 months. Now, when I was on trial, what did I do? We're in a car, we're going to a wedding. We're all dressed up, it's nice. I think it was Saturday night or Sunday. We're going to a wedding. We pull into a gas station, right? And Frankie's sitting in the back. I'm in the passenger seat. Louis, I think, was driving. And Frankie's sitting in the back, and he goes, oh, man, Chief. I said, what? He said, you know, that guy, I said, anytime I see him, I was going to beat him up. He said, he's over there. He's filling his car up with gas. I said, okay. I said, what are you going to do? Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, my friends, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. I am especially grateful and thankful to our God for what he's done for us in the Middle East. And yes, it is a God thing, no question about it. We had a lot of participants working for that, wanting peace in the Middle East. Let's just pray that it lasts. Let's pray that people just keep their words on this. There'll probably be some rocky times. We'll know that. But you know what? For as long as we can get peace and people's lives will be as normal as possible, nobody getting killed or any of this stuff going on, I'm very grateful for that, no doubt about it. You know, I'm asked this all the time, and I try to, get to as many comments or questions as I possibly can. And, my team looks at them, and then over a period of time, we see, well, you know what, this has been asked quite a bit by quite a few people. We're talking hundreds over the course of many, many, many videos. So question is, Michael, what was a day in the life, in your life when you were in the mob versus what your life is like today? Well, obviously, it's a 180-degree difference. Things are quite different now than they were back then. But I'm going to go over that, and because, again, I try to give you what you ask for. Somebody asked me, what was the most stressful memories that you have in that life? I'm going to be honest with you. I stood 5 times in front of a jury. And when you stand up in front of that jury, and that jury is going to render a verdict that can absolutely change your life, turn it upside down, put you in prison, or keep you at home. It could be one or the other. And you're standing there, and those moments are stressful and tense. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. You may not react that way. You may not see that in somebody, but I guarantee their insides are playing tricks on them, because you want to hear one word only, and that is not. That's it. That shows how do you render your verdict, guilty or not guilty. And you want to hear the word not. That changes everything. And of course, if you don't hear it, obviously that changes everything. So that was stressful. I can honestly remember feeling, what's going to happen now? And fortunately, I always heard not, always. And as a result, I was acquitted or dismissed 5 times in trial. So it worked out well for me. So let me go over what my day was like. And my day was different in different phases. It was different, obviously, when I was on trial. It was different when, I had other things going on. So let me give you kind of a typical day on trial and not on trial. Let's go not on trial first. My friends, here's your chance. Our award-winning Areni wine is almost sold out. You want wine from the world's first vineyards? You want to tell your friends about it? Enjoy it? Go to franzesewine.com before it's out of stock. I was always an early riser, always. I didn't need a lot of sleep. 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes, maybe less. Didn't need a lot of sleep, and I didn't like to get up late. I felt that I was missing something if I got up late. So I was always up 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning, always. Even if I didn't rush out of the house, that was it. Now, you remember, I was married once before for a short time. Before Camille and I are married 40 years, but I was married for a short time back then. So, and we had 3 children. So what I tried to do in the morning is see the kids off to school, have a cup of coffee in the house before I would leave. And normally I had somebody pick me up. And when I was a recruit, this was early on. When I was a recruit, I had to go to Brooklyn every day, every single day. I had to report in to my boss. And at that time, it was Andrew Russo. He was my capo regime. He was the underboss at that time, acting underboss for Junior. I had to report to him every single day. So I lived on Long Island. I had to ride into Brooklyn. And as my time as a recruit, I could have sat in a social club for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. I maybe had to drive the boss, Tom DeBella and Andrew, to a meeting and then sit in the car and wait for them to come out. Or if they invited me in, I would. I was only a recruit. If I was told to do something at that point, I had to do it. And I was there just about all day, sometimes all day and all night. Did I like it? No, I didn't like it at all. Not at all, because I figured, how am I going to earn money if I'm sitting around here? But there was times I'd come in, just report in, and able to go back home. There were times when I would tell Andrew, I'm busy, today I got a couple of things going on. Can I leave? Sure, no problem. Or no, you got to stay. One of the two. So when you're a recruit, you're at the beck and call of your capo regime. That's it. And that lasted for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. As things progressed a little bit, I had a little bit more freedom because I started earning some money and I was bringing money into the table. When you bring money in, you get some leeway when it comes to that. So what did I do? A couple of things that I did back then. I ran this flea market for a guy, this guy, Vinny Vingo, nice guy. I ran that on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I made a lot of money there because I was shylocking money that I made to the guy, some of the vendors. It was a great business. I was giving them money so that they can go out and buy their merchandise, whatever it is they were selling. I also took money for them to get a better space in the market. I was whacking it up with Vinny. I let him know about it. So I was making a lot of money on the weekends. And then early on, I was on trial. As a recruit, I was indicted 4 times. 4 times I was indicted. And I was on trial for almost 13 months. 13 months. Now, when I was on trial, what did I do? I had to go to Nassau County Court every single day. They were all state cases at that time. And I was tied up in court for 9 hours, 10 hours. Because then afterwards, I had to discuss things with my lawyer. Just terrible, really. Fortunately, acquitted, dismissed in every case, so that was that. And then at night, I would try to go do a couple of things to earn a living. A couple of things meaning what? Whatever. I had involved in an automobile dealership during that time. Long story, I'm not going to get into that. How I got the dealership was a Mazda agency. I took it at a time when you couldn't give a Mazda away because the Wankel engines were all blowing up and the cars weren't selling. Well, I took an agency that was dead and I revitalized it. And, after many, many years, sold it for a lot of money. But so I would work in my agency at night. When I say work, I would, I was the boss, but I had to get everything in order. My parts department, my service department, my sales department, had to get everything in order. Had to hire the right people, make sure things were going. Our showroom was usually open till 9 or 10 o'clock, so I couldn't be there during the day. I hired a great sales manager, kind of a general manager to run things when I wasn't there. So I had to do that, and we built that business even during the time I was on trial. But so that was that kind of phase of my life. Then, and don't let me leave out this, I would try to go home every day at like 5, 6 o'clock and have dinner with the family. At that the time was my ex-wife and my 3 little children. I would try to have dinner with them, spend time with them. And then 9:30, 10 o'clock, I got picked up again and I went out. Where did we go? Mostly to a club. If I didn't have a meeting, it was to a club. Maybe Andrew would have called me, you got to come back into Brooklyn. I need you tonight. Boom, back into Brooklyn. I was constantly busy as a recruit. Constantly busy, trying to build my business, pay for my lawyers, trying to do what I had to do to become a made guy, always on call. So that was pretty hectic. And I was young, I was made a recruit at the age of 21, and that lasted until I was 24. So it was almost 3 years, it was 2.5 years at that time. So, and then let's switch to, now I got made. My friends, you may not have heard, but I now have a wine branded in my name, Franzese wine. I'm very proud of it. It comes from the world's first vineyards. We have alcoholic wine and non-alcoholic wine, several varieties, fruit varieties. You're going to love it. Different than anywhere you've ever tasted before. So enjoy this with your friends. Go to franzesewine.com. An offer you shouldn't refuse, but a taste you're going to love. And yes, people, you're going to ask, what did I have to do as a recruit? I've answered that already. You know where I stand on that. Anything I was told to do. Let's leave it at that. Now I get made. Halloween night, 1975. This Halloween is going to be my 50th anniversary as being a made guy. Michael, do you still consider yourself a made guy? Well, I'm on the shelf. I'm not a practicing made guy. But look, what I know about, I took the oath. What I know about the life is in my heart and my mind, not easily forgotten. Am I a practicing mobster anymore? Am I a practicing made guy? No, I'm not. But did they ever take it away from you? The expression is they put you on the shelf or they kill you, one of the two. So maybe I'm on the shelf. I can't participate in any mob dealings, don't want to. But it's my 50th anniversary for taking that oath. Halloween night, 1975. I know there's some people that disagree with the date, but that was the date. How do I know that? It was the year I got married. Shortly after I got married. I know that. You don't forget that. It was the year that I got married to my first wife. So it's very clear. Many incidents happened in 75 that I'm aware of, and I'm not making a mistake. And you know, they did open the books early, and they did bring a group of us in there early. Yes, I was one of the first to get made out of respect for my dad, too, because he wanted it. He couldn't communicate with anybody. He was in jail. We were trying to get them out, so they gave him the respect of pushing me up front. Do I have to earn it? Yeah, I had to earn it. But the guys that could have went before me, but they respected my father and they put me in there early on so I can be a help to my father. And then once I got made, my father made me his acting capo because he was a capo regime, but he couldn't exercise it when he was in prison. And when he was on parole, he couldn't do anything. That's why he kept getting violated. So I would do things in his behalf. I was his acting capo until I became official, until Junior made me official. So that was it. Now I get made. Now I've got more freedom because I didn't have to report into Brooklyn every day. When Andrew called me, he was still my captain at that time. And then Joe T became my captain for a while when Andrew, things changed under Junior, when Junior was home. But I had more freedom at that point. I was building my businesses. So here's the deal. Up early again. Spend time with the kids and my ex-wife in the morning. And then boom, I'm gone. Usually at that time, I went off to my Mazda agency. That's where my offices were. I checked in, had a few meetings there every once in a while. And then at times I would head to Brooklyn or I would head to my headquarters. I had a place in Long Island where I would go and meet up with my crew. I had a crew of guys, you know, Frankie G, Vinny Aspromonte, you know, Sally, all these guys that you know that I had. I don't have to get into all of that. And I sat down with them and listened to what they had to say. You know, they always had to meet me about something, who was getting involved in business, who was this, who was that, whatever. You know, I got to tell you some stories about Frankie G. He was one of the high notes in my life. He was so classic. There was nobody like him that I knew. He was crazy. I got to tell you two incidents. I think I might have mentioned one of these before, but you know, there was one time my mother was rough. She didn't pay a bill or something, and somebody was being very nasty with her. I forget what kind of bill it was. Probably a utility bill, maybe a loan that she had. I don't know. But we got a little bit out of hand with her on the phone, and she told me about it. And I said, okay, Mom, I'll take care of it. So I sent Frankie G to meet this guy, right? He gave the guy a beating, and he told him, anytime I ever see you anywhere, I'm going to give you a beating. Anytime, right? And he told me that. I said, great, thank you. We're in a car. We're going to a wedding. We're all dressed up. It's nice. I think it was Saturday night or Sunday. We're going to a wedding. We pull into a gas station, right? And Frankie's sitting in the back. I'm in the passenger seat. Louis, I think, was driving. And Frankie's sitting in the back, and he goes, oh, man, Chief. I said, what? He said, you know, that guy, I said, anytime I see him, I was going to beat him up, give him a beating. He said, he's over there. He's filling his car up with gas. I said, okay. I said, what are you going to do? He said, come on, you know, he didn't see me. I don't have to get out. I mean, I'm dressed in a suit. I says, what do you mean by that? You're not going to keep your word? You're part of my crew. You told this guy you were going to give him a beating anytime you saw him. You saw him. Get out of the car. Frankie, go. He gets out of the car. I'll never forget. When the guy sees him, I forget his name. When the guy sees him, he screams. He starts to run. Frankie takes off after him, and he catches him because the guy stops and catches him. And boom, he smacks him around. He got him down on the floor. He gets back in the car. He's all disheveled now, right? And he ripped his little suit pants. He ripped the knee of his pants. And me and my guys were laughing. Louis laughing. The other Frankie Sestaro is laughing. He gets back in the car. Chief, why'd you make me do it? I said, I'm so proud of you. You kept your word. Don't ever dishonor this family or this crew by not keeping your word. And we went off, right? He was so funny. I got to tell you. Another time, he and I both had boats. You know, I got to tell you, anytime I needed a boat, I sent Frankie out. Frankie, go do your research. I want the best boat for the money that I want to spend. Get it for me. He would do it. I wanted to buy a house or something. Frankie, I need to spend X amount of dollars. Go out and find me a good house. He did. He found my house in Florida, Delray Beach, right? Crazy guy. Anyway, we're in Long Island. It was a beautiful day, and we're in our boats and we're racing. Now you got to know how Long Island is. The water is very shallow in places. If you go outside the buoy, you could be in water this deep, right? Sand, this deep. So we're racing. And as we're driving, he goes outside the buoy. And I'm looking at him and I'm waving him in, get in here, because I see him. And we're both racing. He don't listen. I got to tell you this, people. I got to tell you. All of a sudden, his boat is going like this, and then it goes, and it stops. He hits the sandbar or whatever, because the water was probably 2 feet deep. And boom, he goes, I'm not kidding you, he flies through the glass on his boat. He had the windshield up, through the glass, boom, tumbles over and into the water. I said, oh my God, he's dead. Guaranteed. I'm telling Louis. Louis laughing. Frankie was the same guys I had around me. Vinny was there. I remember Vinny Aspromonte, my butcher. And they're laughing. I said, what are you laughing? The guy's dead. He ain't going to get up, right? So we're trying to circle around. We can't get close enough because he went outside the buoy, right? All of a sudden, guys, people, I got to tell you, out of nowhere, he comes out of the water with his hands, I'll never forget, like this, and blood all over him, right? And he comes out, he looked like a zombie or something. We cracked up laughing. We couldn't help it, right? We cracked up laughing. I said, get over here, swim over here, get in the boat. We got to take you to the hospital. We pulled him into the boat, and, it's sad because he was hurt. He was hurt. I mean, he didn't break anything, but fortunately, he must have a rock-hard head. But we got him into the hospital, got him patched up. But that was Frankie G. He was classic. I miss the guy, I'll be honest with you. He did a lot of time in prison. He did 15 years, always stood up. He was loyal. He was crazy, but he was loyal. I told you the other time when we all got indicted by Giuliani, but he wasn't part of the indictment. And I had just gotten out. I bailed out. And he comes to my house at 6 a.m. He rings the bell. I open up the door. I said, what do you want? It's 6 a.m. He says, what's wrong? I ain't part of this crew. They don't indict me. Everybody's going to think I'm a rat. Why didn't they indict me? And I looked at him. I said, you mad that you weren't indicted? I said, go and take my place. I said, get out of here. I said, you're out of your mind. Shut the door, made him leave. But he was upset. He was upset that he didn't get indicted. Crazy guy. But anyway, he passed away about 2-3 years ago. And I love Frankie. I really did. He was one of my good guys. Crazy, but one of my good guys, I got to say. And he was good for me in the gas business. He made a lot of money. But anyway, so I lost track. But anyway, so I'd go to the dealership and then meet with the guys that I had to meet with. And then once again, spend some time doing whatever business I did. Go home, 5:30, 6 o'clock most of the time. Have dinner with the family. See the kids, put them to bed. 9:30, 10 o'clock, boom, got picked up. Went out and we went to whatever club we went to, met with some of the other guys from the other family. If there was a dispute, if there was anything, maybe a club that I was involved in, we went to check it out. And yeah, we did party. We had a good time at that time. Channel 80, a bunch of clubs that I used to be involved in and frequent. And then I'd get home 1, 2 in the morning, boom, same routine, up again at 5 o'clock. Now, when I was in trial with the feds, a little bit different. Now, at that time, I was in the gas business, and I have to tell you, so much of my involvement during the day, and this is after I got made a captain by Junior, so much was sitting down, resolving disputes, either with my guys or somebody else in the gas business that was trying to get involved with us. I was sitting down constantly because everybody wanted to get involved in that operation. And I had told Junior that. I said, Junior, that's why you got to make sure I win every argument. Because if we start opening it up and letting other people in, we're going to blow it. We got to keep this tight. I never lost an argument. Junior supported me, giving him a couple of $1 million a week. Why wouldn't he? But I'm saying he supported me. But I had to sit down quite a bit with other people from other families, even my own, Little Vic Arena. And I don't want to get into all those stories, but I had to sit down with quite a bit. It was a big part of my life as a captain and my life as a soldier before he made me a captain, no doubt. But did a lot of that, met with my own crew quite a bit. We had a lot of fun. We had time. At that time, I had my own plane. I had my own helicopter. We used to, take small trips and have some fun, whether it be Atlantic City, wherever the heck we went. We had some good times. Sunday, family day. I would never go out. Always spent it with the family from morning to night. Didn't go out to a club or anything. Saturday night, always with my wife. And most of the day on Saturday, I tried to stay with the family. Did I neglect my family at that point? Not financially, no. Time-wise, yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I could have spent more time with them. But I was so involved in business and being a part of that life, and I was young and I was aggressive and didn't always have all my priorities in place. And yeah, there was a big demand on my time. You know, when you got a crew of guys around you, it's a lot. And then you got businesses that you're trying to work. I mean, it was a lot. So, did I neglect my family as far as giving them the proper time back then? Yes, no question about it. And do I regret that? Yeah, I do. I mean, I obviously do. Um, and then, of course, with my children, you know, from my first marriage, I went to prison. I went off. I was away from them for so long. And that's part of my regrets. And I take full responsibility for that. No question about it. It's all on me. I was part of that life. I did what I did. And that's what happened. And my first marriage fell apart. We grew apart at that point. I don't want to get into all of it. She was a good woman. I have nothing negative to say about her whatsoever. Nothing. She raised my kids without me being there. She was a good woman, is a good woman. I have no issues with that whatsoever. Unfortunately, she was married to me, who had nothing but headaches going on during that time as a member of that life. But, you know, and you grow apart. When you don't give time to your family people and you don't give time to your kid, you grow apart in a marriage. There's no question about it. It happens. And you got to take responsibility for it. You got to have your priorities straight. You know, even now, I have so many men that come to me. Yeah, they're successful businessmen, but their marriage, their family life is not good because it's not prioritized. Yeah, they take care of them. They got all their needs handled financially, but they don't have you. I said, please, believe me, I understand. I did that too. Can't do that. And that's not the mistake I made the second time around, other than the time that I was in prison. You know, that was it. But so that was my life back then. You know, Saturday and Sunday, much as the time as I can, I spent with my family. During the week, I was out constantly doing my thing, whether it be mob thing, legitimate business. I was pretty much a routine guy in that regard. I thought it good to stay to routines at that time. When I was on trial, it was different. When I was on federal trial in the Southern District of New York under Giuliani, I'd have to get up early every morning. It would be great for me because I would take my helicopter from Long Island into Manhattan. And it took me like 19 minutes, you know, 17 minutes to get into Manhattan, where other people in traffic and everything would take them 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I used to tease the feds. Some of them came from Long Island. When we used to wrap up, you know, at the end of the day, I would say, hey, come on, come with me, come in a helicopter. I said, yeah, leave your car here. I'll drive you back in the morning. I said, we got to take 2.5 hours with all the traffic coming home. I'll get you home in 19 minutes. And I knew they couldn't come, you know, during the trial. They wouldn't be allowed to come. But I was kind of mocking them, you know, making fun of it back then. I enjoyed that. You know, I didn't like them back then. But they would go, oh, you know, Mike, we can't, you know, all that. I said, oh, come on, I'll get you home in 19 minutes. What do you got to go in that traffic? Come on, let's go. No. As we don't have to talk about the case, I would tease them like that. But anyway, and that was for several months that I was on trial. It was a pain in the neck. I didn't get home at night till 6:30, 7 o'clock. Sometimes later when you're talking to the lawyer about what was going to happen the next day. And that went on for several months until I was acquitted. And then I would go out at night. I would have to go out at night to do some business. I was exhausted just from sitting on trial every day and listening to all the baloney you got to listen to. But that was my day. So let me sum it up, day in the life of my life as a mobster back then, okay? Up early in the morning, spend some time with the family, out by 9 o'clock, you know, kids go to school, have a cup of coffee with the wife, and then I'm out all day until 5, 6 o'clock, mob business, legit business, New York business, Brooklyn business, whatever, Long Island, boom, come home, have dinner with the family, see the kids, tuck them in bed, boom, 9, 10 o'clock, I'm out again. We're in a club till, you know, 1, 2 in the morning, back home, and then it starts all over again. When I was on trial, different, trial every day, come home, have dinner. Then yes, if I was able to come home from dinner, not with the lawyers, yes, still go out at night. It was a grind. It was a grind. It was pretty exhausting, but I was young and I was able to do it. Now, life in prison, a little bit different, of course. And when I met Camille, my current wife, a little bit different. You know, I realized the mistakes I made the first time around, wasn't going to do that again. But obviously, I went to prison for 8 years. I was out of her life and our little babies at the time. So it was prison life. I don't have to tell you, it's boring. What do I tell you? You know, you get up in the morning, you go out in the yard. If you're in a hole, there's nothing to do. You're sitting in the same spot. and you're reading or listening to your Sony Walkman, waiting to get on a phone call or maybe a visit. I don't have to go through prison life. I think most of you know what it is. But that pretty much sums up, days back then, versus days now. I'm pretty much a creature of habit. I like to be on a schedule of my own that I can make. I'm an early riser still. I don't require a lot of sleep. I never have. I don't go out at night anymore unless I'm with my wife. I don't do any of that. I'm usually home and in bed fairly early, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Do I go to sleep at that time? No. Watch the news. Me and my wife talk. We watch a movie or whatever. But I'm pretty much now, because I have a little more leeway, 74 years old, can do things differently. I get up early. We have a routine. I bring my wife coffee in the morning. She makes it at night on the timer. You know how that goes. And I go down and get it for us in the morning. We usually spend a little time in bed. We drink our coffee, watch the news, talk a little bit, and then we go to the gym. She's a lot more dedicated than I am. She's there every day. That's why she's in wonderful shape and still as beautiful as ever. But that's part of her life. She's always been that way, always taking care of herself, always into exercise, always into nutrition, and that's it. And boy, it pays off. I am not as dedicated as her. I try to get my 2 or 3 times a week in. I still sometimes make business a priority over that. I shouldn't, but I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at it, and try to keep myself healthy. You know how I preach at the end of every video, stay healthy. I believe that. And praise God, I'm in pretty good health. So after that, we start our day. Usually I'll get on the phone, get on, the internet and answer emails and all that kind of stuff. In the morning when I'm up really early, I'll read my my media online, not newspaper, but I read it online. I'll do a little Bible study. I have somebody that sends me a devotional every day. I read through that, and I get my spiritual thoughts in place. Don't spend a lot of time, but I spend enough to give me nutrition for the day. I think that's very important. And then I look at what my schedule is. It's different. I have to film quite a bit because content to support my businesses and, marketing wise, and also to support what I do. So I have my team. I have a team of people that work with my wine company also. They do all the marketing. And so they're giving me, this is what we need from you. This is what we need from you. This and that and everything else. So my wife, who does the filming, we sit down, we put our schedule together, and then we film like I'm doing right now. So that normally takes up a couple hours. If I have a meeting outside, I go to a meeting, whether it pertains to the wine business, my pizza business, a lot. My partners keep me very busy because we're building 2 businesses that I'm very high on. I really am very happy with both and the progress that we've made over the years. And so I continue to give it as big an effort as I possibly can. Obviously, Franzese wine is my brand, so it's built around me with a terrific wine. And by the way, this is my cherry wine. These fruit wines are great. People are loving them, flying off the shelves. This is my fruit wine, is my cherry, and it's very good, really good. My favorite happens to be the blackberry and the strawberry. I like them both. Strawberry is fairly new. And the pomegranate, not one of my favorites, but the pomegranate seems to be a fan favorite, I would say, because, again, flying off the shelves, all of them are. So I put a lot of time into that. And then I spend a lot of time with my wife, and I spend a lot of time with my kids. We always eat dinner together, unless I'm traveling. Like there's a lot of weekends that I'm leaving, to go and speak. I do that quite often, 25, 30, 40 events a year. So if I'm doing that, well, then obviously the schedule is upside down. When I'm home on the weekends, I'm with my wife and my kids. Mostly my wife. The kids, they come, they go, whatever, but they're around. Sundays, we always try to have dinner together. We go to church, usually the 12 o'clock service with Pastor Greg Laurie at Harvest. We love that. And then we go for brunch quite often, and then we come to the house. The kids usually come around. My wife either cook dinner or we go out for dinner at night, and then we'll be home. We'll watch a movie late at night, and then the whole routine starts again. So my priorities now, obviously taking care of business, but spending as much time as my wife and children, and now my grandchildren, as I possibly could. So this was very informal. I didn't give you like a routine with a schedule, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. No, we didn't do that. But, that's what it's about now. And people, I will tell you, make time for God and family. It's so important. We lose track of that. We lose sense of that sometimes. And I get it. Look, we got to work. We got to support ourselves. Business is important. We want comfort in life. But you got to make time for what's most important, and that is God and family. There's no question about it. I think I have some wisdom in that regard. After being married for 40 years and then married prior to that, and there's no substitution for that whatsoever. You got to get your priorities in order. There's no question. Get them in order. God first, family right on par with that, obviously, and then do everything else that you have to do. But if you don't have your priorities in order, most of the times you're going to mess up. I can tell you that. There's no doubt about it. You're going to mess up. Set your priorities straight early on and make sure the priorities are the right ones. Don't make them the wrong ones, because that'll lead you down the wrong path. No question about it. So that's the day in the life, pretty much. I gave you more than one day. I gave you more than, one era, so to speak, one set of circumstances, but that's how I live my life. And now I'm very blessed. And yeah, I have challenges, and yes, I have struggles, and business is up and business is down, and sometimes you have family issues, and God forbid things don't go well on a certain day. Nothing's going to change in that regard. We live in the real world, and we're going to have challenges. And I always tell people this: God never promised us heaven on earth. He promised us heaven in heaven. And he said, be prepared for challenges that you're going to have in everyday life. That God isn't upset with you. He's not listening to your prayer. We just live in a fallen world, and we're going to deal with it. But for us who believe in Jesus Christ, we know there's a far better place that we're going to for all of eternity. We're just passing through this world, and it is what it is. We didn't create the Garden of Eden. We didn't create those set of circumstances, but we've suffered as a result. So we got to deal with it. But God has our backs for those of us that believe in him. No question about it. For all the struggles and all the challenges, I can say that. So that's the days in the life of Michael Franzese once, Michael Franzese today. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Little interest that we're giving you on different topics. That's it. You got it. You asked for it, rather. You got it. How do I always leave you, my friends? Same way. Be safe. Be healthy. God bless each and every one of you and everything that goes with that. Families, friends, neighborhoods, communities. God bless America. See you next time. Stay tuned. My friends, I have a question for you. How would you like to get more of me? When I say more of me, I mean intimate phone calls, Zoom calls, Q&As, questions. You can ask me anything that you want. Behind the scenes information. I can't tell everything on YouTube. This is an elite group. We have over 1,000 people that are involved, not only with me, but helping one another. It's a great platform that we've created. So become part of the family. Yes, it's an offer that you shouldn't refuse. MichaelFranzese.com/family. Be part of the legacy today.